together. So should every leader, for we are one people, one destination. So let us move on without hesitation. I say we jamming to the sounds of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
The venue is Tobago, and it's going to be a grand show. A true Caribbean Callaloo mix up. When we start to jam up, we go in non-stop. I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso and steel band.
Well, I hear they say the country in recession, but thank God, salvation is free. And even though we in a tight situation.
Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Gem FM Caribbean Connection right here from Grenada to up to Cuba. I present good morning to each and every one of you. Yes, as we get ready to celebrate 50 years of independence. This is Gem FM. Yes, start dancing and celebrating.
My cup, man, Jesus fill it up and I just cannot stop drinking. So I will stand for the rock and the rock and the rock and the rock and the rock of life. I make me drink from the cup, from the cup, from the cup, and drink from the cup of life. I make me stand for the rock and the rock and drink from the cup and stop. And why should I panic when I know that Jesus is my number one provider? And why should I fret? Cause he's my one and only supplier. And why worry when I know that there's a God above? Keep on Why should I be?
Yes, let me remind you, this show is brought to you by none other than Ola's Kitchen, 477 Oakwood Avenue. You can call to place your order, 647-347-9776, and Cookies Pastry Delight on Ben Jones Street in Granville.
Here's my cup, my cup, my cup, my cup, my Jesus fill it up, and I just cannot stop drinking. So I will stand on the rock, and the rock, and the rock, and the rock, and the rock of life. I make my drink from the cup, from the cup, from the cup, and drink from the cup of life.
Let's drink from the cup of life. Not of bitterness as we celebrate 50 years.
I will not suffer. I will not beg for food. I will not suffer. I will not beg for food. No, he is my daddy, oh. 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 He is my rock, my rock, my rock, my rock. My Jesus is my rock, and I just cannot stop dancing. He is my cup, my cup, my cup, my cup. My Jesus fill it up, and I just cannot stop drinking. So I will stand for the rock, and the rock, and the rock, and the rock, and the rock of life. I make my drink from the cup, from the cup, from the cup, and drink from the cup of life. I make my stand for the rock and rock, and drink from the cup and stop. Because that Jesus is all I got, so I will stand.
A man of
Yes. Good morning, Greater Carriacou and Petty Martin. This is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. I'm in tongue until the sun goes down. And we are here today. We're going to talk about the Greater Independence, 50 years, and those who complain about the start of it, when it started. Why should it start on the 19th? Well, we're going to talk about that tonight. Today, not tonight, but to those of you who nighttime is now, we also respect that. A happy day to you. For those that celebrate in Sabbath, happy Sabbath to you. But we have to talk about what's happening in Grenada. The 50 years anniversary of the Grenada Revolution, the independence of Grenada, and the end and the marking of the October 19th as a public holiday back in Grenada on the 19th of October every year. And as they get ready to celebrate 50 years, we are hearing a lot of noises in the marketplace. Why the 19th? Why start on the 19th? Well, should we start on the 19th? Should we start on the 21st or 25th? Why on the 19th? Well, that's what a lot of people are questioning. Which day is more important to you, probably? All depending on where what you're looking from, your viewpoint, what angle you're taking on that. Were you a supporter of Maurice Bishop or not? And I think that's what it comes down to, and most people wondering why then. Because on October 19th, almost 90% of the population came out to free or to see Maurice Bishop come out of house arrest, to restore so-called the government of Grenada under Maurice. People came out for that. Unfortunately, the revolution ended on that day with the death of Maurice. Well, on the 25th, but the revolution, somebody say that was it, and that day, the revolution done. The revolution continued until 25th. However, the US invasion really solidified the end of the revolution. But that was the government of the revolution. But I'm continuing to believe, and I still believe that the revolution is continuing, even though they had some hiccups. There are people in strategic positions in government, and the government, past and present, is embracing a lot of the projections and the wanting of the PRG. Yes? And those who continue to believe that October 19th should not be celebrated, well, as the people who lost their lives, as the people who lost their lives, the family who lost their lives on that day, what they thought of having, marking the 19th of October as a public holiday, a day of reflection, a day to think, a day to reflect, really, what really went on. Those of who did not know, those who knew, those who was there to see Maurice, those who came to free Maurice on the 19th of October. It is not celebrating the independence on the 19th. It's the kicking off the independence celebration for 50 years. So I do not get why people are so mad, but somebody could talk to me. Call us today, 437-980-7467. And tell me what you think, because at the end of the day, we're going to celebrate 50 years. At the end of the day, Grenada has declared October 19 a public holiday. I can't wait to see March and become a public holiday as well. However, talk to me, somebody. Let's hear what you have to say today. Call us today and let us know what your thoughts are on October 19 being a national holiday. Not just starting to celebrate 50 years of independence, but the truth of the matter is the revolution was the only government that really put independence to the word independence as it comes to nation building. So talk to me, somebody. Let's hear from you what your thoughts are on the celebration, kicking off the celebration of 1974 independence on the 19th of October when Prime Minister Maurice Bishop Mosley. All right, let's talk about that. Let us not be hypocritical about that. Let us hear from you. All right, I know there are a lot of noise in the market about detainees and 3,000 detainees and torture and stuff like that. But let me also remind you that on the day of June 19, 1980, it was declared Heroes Day. And in celebration of our heroes on that day, counter-revolutionaries, they decided to put a bomb in the park to kill and to wipe out the entire leadership and people of Grenada, because they were not just killing just the Prime Minister. The bomb is not that sensitive. You kill anybody, which he did, that was around where the bomb was placed on October 19th, celebrating Heroes Day. And they did that. They went to Montrose and killed 3 young men, militiamen in Montrose, in Kaiser Thomas House. Okay? They attempted to blow up the bomb, to blow up the bridge in St. John's. It was another attempt of destabilizing the Grenada Revolution. All right? So let us not forget those things. And yes, you get tortured in prison. But yes, it was there, you have it, that had happened. But let us not forget the attempt and the things that was done to hinder the progress of the Grenada Revolution. I know maybe say my dad wasn't in this, my uncle wasn't in this. You do not know that how deep they was involved in the process of destabilization. And let me give you a clear example of myself. Okay? When I went in the army, my mom did not know, my girlfriend at the time did not know, my sister did not know, my cousin, Gabriel Erasto Bako Fleming, who was head of the communication unit in the Prime Minister's house, Maurice Bishop House. When I showed up for duty, he asked me, what am I doing here? He did not even know. I come to work. Work with here? I said, yeah. I came to work there as well. If somebody told my mom, what's my point? If somebody told my mom that John was killed in an accident, I guess shot, Polytechnic Prime Minister, she would say, no, not my son. No, not him. He's not in that. My mother had no clue that I was in the army until 1983, March 1983. That's when she knew. He never knew. So let me make it clear. Those of you who think that your parents was not involved, you have no clue that they was not involved. Who do you know your uncle and Nenen was involved? You don't know. People keep secrets. They do think that they don't want other people to know what they're doing, because what they're doing is personal to them. So let us celebrate 1974 as we ought to celebrate it. Yes? As we ought to celebrate it as Grenadians doing what we do, coming together, loving each other, and living together as one. No, it's not time for division and hate. Now is the time for us to get together and build Grenada. Let us work together. Let us work together and build Grenada together. It is what it is. We have to come together, right? If we do not do that, what can we do? We can't continue to tear down each other. Now is the time for us to build Grenada, to work together to have a peaceful, productive Grenada, a Grenada that reflects who we are as a people. Now is the time for us to engage in meaningful conversation about moving forward. It's time for us to put and bury the hatchet, to come together as one people right now and build and aspire as one people under God, ever conscious of God. And let us be proud of our heritage as we continue to build Grenada and move Grenada forward. Amen to that. So right now, I want to play a song by the African Teller. All right, this is it. African Teller. This one called Freedom. Let me pull up the Freedom song by African Teller. Yeah, this is the one. Freedom. African Teller, right here on Gem FM.
Hey yo, this is Boise Big, you know. DJ Soca Harley. Take the real music and bringing it out to the world.
Then let the mighty they even tell the whole world at last we free. And for that the black man should be happy. But friends, when I look around, I could see what they did but lie and mama guy. Because presently in my birth country, still them hypocrite have access than me. Hear my plea, freedom is what we need. Freedom, not make believe. Freedom is what we need. Freedom, not make believe. Sing it, children, for the young and the old, every boy and girl. Let the message be told to the whole wide world. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Save the children. Some I know would never like my concept, but I wrote this song without no regret.
DJ
I can see like the rest and pretending I am not conscious about what's happening. Look how much Africans now still dying, and the pagan world see don't do nothing. But quickly they rush in the rock fighting for the black man all still to control him. Hear me crying, freedom is what we need. Not make believe. Freedom is what we need. Freedom, not make believe. Sing it, children, for the young and the old, every boy and girl. Let the message be told to the whole world. Freedom, 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 save the children. Nelson Mandela, a true example. What freedom is spent waste years in prison. Quota killed black people by millions. And about that I witness no invasion. Sharon King massacre Palestine. And about that them barbarians play their time. What I know for sure they can stop track time. So my people, time to rise up and shine. Let them know what's on your mind. Freedom is what we need. Freedom, not make believe. Is what we need.
DJ Soca-holic.
Freedom, not make believe. Sing it, children, for the young and the old. Every boy and girl, let the message be told to the whole wide world. Freedom, 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 freedom. Save the children. the Caribbean resource for years they drain. The way they exploit us with that damn machine. Them take we coconut, make banana. We bauxite and go to Guyana. Trini Island, also Venezuela. Then you pop up the first empire. And the countries such Castro say never. Look how long the boats and Jam and Cuba. Wake up, my brother. Freedom is what we need. Not make believe. Freedom is what we need. Not make believe. Sing children for the young and the old. Every boy and girl. Let the message be told to the whole wide world. Freedom, 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 freedom. Save the children.
DJ Soulaholic.
For the young and the old, every boy and girl, let the message be told to the whole world.
Yes, that's the man African teller from yesteryear. Freedom is this one is called.
Freedom. Save the children. For the young and the old, every boy and girl.
When you don't know, this is Struggle Leader representing Grenada Touch the Floor, DJ Soulaholic. He's the maddest, sickest DJ mistake.
Save the children. For the young and the old, boys and girls.
All you lovely people in Grenada, drinking rum and a coconut. There is something in your life that no one can understand. There is something in your health, or if it's your mind betrayed. You have something there that takes my heart away. In Ipanema, we are Grenadians, and who are you? Land of spice, where everything lies. Grenadians, and God bless you. You live in a sunny climate. It's forever summertime. If the walls are lovely beach, it's always within your reach. You have something there that makes a man in a Ipanema, we are Grenadians, and who are you? Land of spice, where everything lies. Grenadians, and God bless you. Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St.
and kiss. In this lovely paradise, you can watch the sunrise. Any evening, any day, you can have a sunset play. You can enjoy yourself forever and a day. Inikanima, we are Grenadians, are you? On a slide with everything that we make it big on, that's you. There are grenades everywhere. Some the daughters who find them, and they breathe with a grenades and playground, that's you. Grenades and playground, that's you. Grenades and playground, that's you.
Yes, Greater Carriacou and Philip Martin. This is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Alongside me this morning is none other than Delbert Battis, the King Kong City man. He's here with me this morning. All right, as usual, we haven't been consistent as we should be and we would be because I do a lot of things with my health, having to take some time off among other things. But primarily, my health has been my issue. And I really had some health challenges. It wasn't very bad, but it was bad enough for me to take a break. You know what I mean? But I had to do what I had to do. In certain circumstances, I had to get those things done that had to be done. So I could be here and be alive and still being well. But, you know, sometimes you got to take care of you before you take care of anybody else, right? Your health comes first. And in that case, I had to take care of me. Welcome and good morning, Delbert Battis. How are you today?
Good morning, comrade. How are you?
I'm good. I'm like I said, you know, it's the challenges of life make us stronger. If we don't go through nothing, we can't come to nothing. You know what I mean? Gotta go through something to come through something. Well, today we're talking about our independence, our 50th anniversary, among other things. I saw some changes. I saw some people positioning themselves. I've been positioned in places that I said, look, I was sharing a story with a brother the other day that revolutionaries are getting invited to sit at the table to do things that have to be done right. Yes, and I see it happening. I see a lot of us in good places. My hope is that they take the same mindset of 1979 to 83 into that new to build Grenada, use the template there and build as they was taught how to build. So that being said, October 19th is now mentioned as a national holiday for Greater Carriacou and Philip Martin. And the commencement of our 50th anniversary of independence, so-called independence, we wish, from Britain is commencing on that day. Now, there are a lot of persons who are not arguing with that. And I hear from those who do not think it's a good time to celebrate it. And again, the red herring of throwing up detainees, 3,000 people being in prison during the period of time. Why do we need to celebrate? Why do we need to have a holiday for revolution? Well, some of us are enjoying the same gains that the goose that laid the golden egg, they don't want to celebrate the goose. Okay, yeah, they're celebrating the goose. So I'm saying to them, sit down and take a seat somewhere in the back, and we would call you when you're ready. What is your opinion on this? The celebration commencing on the 19th and making that 19th a national holiday. Now, I've seen you reply to certain people on the posting on Facebook, right? You being your natural self and everything like that. I might be devil advocate here today and say, man, no, why you got to bring October 19 to that for? Leave it out. Bring in the 25th instead. Why not the 25th to start? Why the 19th? Talk to me and talk to the Grenadian people. And those of you out there listening, please call or write your question in. I prefer if you call in, let's just interact here together this morning. Gilbert Baptiste, welcome.
Good morning, comrade. Good morning. Well, for me, I'm tempted to say it's a non-issue, but I am older now, so I'm most sensitive to other people's feelings and opinions. But the thing is that the people who have said that that date should not be used are just saying that date should not be used. They have not presented any credible alternative or a credible, well-reasoned opinion as to why it should not. And I think we have to be careful because the Prime Minister didn't say it was a celebration. That day was for celebration. It is it commences the kickoff of the observance of our 50th anniversary of so-called independence. Yeah. I have my own problems with independence already, so I'm not going to get into that. But if you want to look at it, somebody posted that we shouldn't link days. Well, that's kind of stupid. I have no other way of putting it, because a country's history is totally linked together, whether you want to or not. The history is there, it's linked together. So you can't say, let's ignore this day, let's just celebrate this one, let's look forward to this one. So the way I see it, in our recent history, because people forget that Grenada was once a slave colony and there were more brutality under slavery than what happened on October 19th. We have to be, let's be honest about it, all right? October 19th was a fluke event in that nobody planned to do that. Things just escalated and sort of degenerated into this act of terrible act of misjudgment on everybody's part. Everybody had both sides had some responsibility in allowing the event to disintegrate into that. So if we go in on our recent history, because that happened less than a decade after independence, my way of looking at it is, let's look at it as the phoenix, a country rising from its darkest day since independence to now celebrating 50 years of quasi-independence. I look at it as moving from a period of darkness or uncertainty or fearfulness, whatever word you want to use, I'll accept all that, to a period of trying to build and improve on a nation. Okay, so for me, it is the most opportune time to start that, because it bookmarks our history. Okay, it bookmarks our history. So here you have October 19, 1983, a terrible day in our history, a violent day in our history, a day in our history when we lost hope, we lost direction, a vision was taken away from us. Okay, and here we have now X number of years after that, moving on to our 50th anniversary of quasi-independence from Great Britain. And we're saying we are going to use that day to kick off the celebration and observation. But that particular day was declared a national holiday, correctly so by the Prime Minister. And it's a day of reflection. It's a day of us reflecting on how much we have grown or traveled from that day to where we are now. Are we a better nation? Are we a more united nation? Are we a nation more focused on building and improving the lives of our people, taking care of the elderly, preparing our young people for the challenges of a modern 21st century society? These are the kind of conversations that we have to have. The problem we have is that you know, one of the things that one of the evils of colonialism is that they only taught us part of our history or told us part of our history. And for some reason, because of the psychological warfare that was visited on Grenada following the US invasion, we were afraid to tell our story. And successive governments who have come in power have been afraid to tell the story of Grenada, what happened, how it happened. And even if you don't have all the answers, but you can teach something about it, okay? But we took that day and we put it in the basement, we hid it away from everyone, and we decided not to touch it. Nations, young nations, and even more seasoned developed nations cannot grow like that. You have to observe and acknowledge things that has happened in your life, in the life of the country, and put them in the correct perspective. And we have to do that with October 19th. So we should be teaching our young people about October 19th. We should be teaching our people of the revolution of 1951. We should be teaching our people of Squandermania of 1967, I think it was, and the struggles of the 1950s. We should be teaching our children about the resistance to independence leading up to the 1974 independence and the strikes of that era. And March 13th, and all these things, we should be teaching our young people that. And because we refuse to teach that to our young people, now that you have this resistance. So the only thing people know about that era is that October 19th, Bishop was killed, okay? But there's a wider story, and that might be an opportunity for us to tell the folks who were not there, folks who were not involved, more about it. And as still a very young nation, 50 years old, let us reflect on the past. Let us sort of analyze the mistakes that were made in this era, okay? And to ensure that we don't repeat those kind of things moving forward, and use it as a day of reflection, use it as a day of community service, where we help out our neighbors, where we take care. You know, yesterday I saw a post by one of my friends in Grenada who talked about the heat, the temperature in Grenada, and that he was very concerned about the elderly. Okay, and that's a real issue. So maybe on October 19th, it's a day when people reflect. People choose to reflect in their own ways. Some people do it through prayer. Some people do it through solitude. Some people will reflect by helping the elderly or conducting some kind of classes with young people to tell them. There are many different ways to do it, but it has been declared an official holiday. I'm in full support of that, and I'm in full support of that day being used as a sort of jump-off point to the 50th anniversary. And if somebody has a credit, don't come and tell me Bishop this and Bishop that and code this and code that, and that's why we can. That's not an argument. That's gibberish. That's gibberish. Right, I'm not interested in that. Right. Present to me a credible argument. Look at it. I live in the United States. They celebrate. The United States was attacked on September 11, 2001. Every year it's a celebration. Every year it's a celebration. They mark it, they memorialize it. They read the names of the people who were killed over and over and over and over again, year after year after year after year. So they, in the United States, it's okay for them to tell the history to our people and say that we should never forget. But when it's for us, they tell us, no, we don't want you to remember anything about that, because they are afraid that in an open, genuine, thoughtful discussion, that people would have seen not just what happened on October 19th, but all the other great benefits that were brought to the people in the 4.5 years. And that's what they are really afraid of. I'm not afraid of that. I'm willing right now to acknowledge and to accept all the mistakes that were made, all the errors that were committed, all our flaws, okay? But I will never, ever in my life turn against the true values of the Grenada Revolution, and I will never back down. I will never cower, okay? It doesn't matter what you come after me with about the two. Every year I see it goes up. At one time it was 2,000, then it was 3,000. I saw somebody quoted this week that it was 4,000. But what's the real figure? And I'm going to say it here. Hate me, like me, doesn't really matter. Some of the people who were locked up deserved to be locked up. Revolutions do not practice unilateral disarmament, okay? They talk about that. When the US Revolution came, they killed people. They denied some the right to work. They denied some the right to vote. They denied some the right to own property. It happened right here. 600,000+ Americans living in this country left the country after independence, moved back to Europe. Some moved to Canada. So listen, you want to come and criticize the Grenada Revolution, you cannot criticize it in a singular context. You have to look at it in how revolutions around the world, both on the right and the left, are conducted and what happens. If you think that we are just going to have a revolution and then you are going to come and threaten the revolution and think we're not going to deal with you, it hasn't happened.
You know, and funny,
it has never happened anywhere in the world. I don't know why you think that I should be coming and apologize to you now when you thought you could come and overthrow a process that I was investing my time in. No, I'm not apologizing.
You know something, and I'm glad I made that point, because something I've been saying for years. Every major so-called democracy today, it was not established by democracy. It was established by revolutions. Okay? All of them. All of the G7s, G8 nations never came into being by democracy. It's always blood, sweat, and tears. Okay? So to condemn the revolution in that aspect, you haven't understand world politics. 1. 2, in a revolution, like again, it's operated differently. We cannot sit by, and you know something, Delbert, and I heard my friend Dennis making all this trolling on Facebook about the glorious revolution. What kind of glorious revolution? He started off really nice, saying that, oh no, let's talk about unification and all that, and then he go into the demise of their demise. They've been imprisonment, they get shot and looking for scars on the hand. I could say, look at Jackie. Yes, she has a scar. She has one leg. Okay. I could talk about Ivan Charles, who lost his life, not be a revolution, but come to revolutionaries, going to Chris Thomas' house in Montrose, shoot them up, dig out the eyes, and leave them there to death. Okay, I could go back and talk about the bomb in Queen's Park. Only was actually June 19th was Heroes Day. We said our heroes. Yes?
I was about 10 to 15 feet away from when I just returned from assignment and I was walking in to deliver my report, and the bomb exploded about 10 to 15 feet from me.
Watch this. Watch this. So on that day, 3 sisters lost their life, and many more was injured on that day. Okay, so when they're making the claim or there was torture and there was in prison without trial, the process takes long. You get to the root of the matter. There are a lot of wrong things that was done by them. They don't want to claim that. But the fact of the matter, evidence is there that those things happened on that time. They had to blow up the bridge, the St. John Bridge. Okay? Let's talk about that. The planning and the overall plan to overthrow the government by different forces within the counter-revolutionary unit. All of them who claim to be innocent. I said this to say, there are a lot of children of those people today saying their dad was innocent, their mom was innocent. I say this to say, when I got in the army, nobody in my family knew about it. Nobody knew. Not my mother, not my sister, my brother, my cousin who was working in Maurice Bishop House at the time. Never knew until I show up the day and asked what I'm doing here. I say, I come to work. Say, come to work, we're here. I say, yes, I'm working here. If somebody told my mother, pre-going into the army, I get shot and killed in California or somewhere as a soldier training, because they who, not my son. Not my son. Because she never knew I was involved in those things. Right? So if I was planning to overthrow the government and get killed, she would say, no, not my son. He's not in that. But she didn't know. I didn't tell her anything about my secret life I was living. Yeah. Outside of that. So a lot of parents was involved in subversion and destabilization. They don't tell their kids that. So I was too young to even talk to her about that. Okay? So the parents I was in prison. Why he was in prison? I remember Ray Cato from Sates. I was doing a show here one day, and he said that James Sierra and other people came to recruit me, working in prison at the time, to become a counter-revolutionary. And he refused. He refused to join them up. So there are people.
I had several attempts made on me.
You understand? So I am not going to phase out anything to accommodate them with a cry for attention for what they did. Your revolution was progressive, it was glorious, and I said to her every day that your problem was in Maurice.
I'm not going to sit here and say that there probably weren't people who were picked up that probably should not have been picked up, or that some innocent people didn't get caught up in the web. All right, that certainly happened, and so if you were completely innocent, maybe you were just hanging with the wrong crowd, maybe you were associating with the wrong crowd, maybe the intelligence was flawed. That happens, and it doesn't only happen in Grenada, it happens in every country around the world. Even in so-called democracies, there are security apparatuses in place that monitor citizens and their activities on a regular basis. And if the security apparatus determine you to be a threat to that country's national security, you will be picked up and you will be charged. We had a legal system in Grenada that was not well developed. We were certainly overwhelmed with what was happening, and I'm sure. In fact, I know, and I think I said it here already. I knew that there was somebody who was picked up because he was a loudmouth. Okay, he was a loudmouth. He had no direction in his life at the time, and he got involved. I don't know how he even gravitated to that, because he had come from a family who was very progressive, but he gravitated and started talking because of frustration in his life about overthrowing the revolution. He wasn't involved with anybody. He didn't know anybody, okay? But because he talked so much, he convinced people that he actually knew something. And he got picked up. And then he was quickly released. You know, I remember my mom speaking to whoever, I'm not going to call names, and he was quickly released, right? So that has happened. And if it happened in that area, it happened in other parts of the island too. But I don't know what people think, that you can threaten a revolution and we're going to say, well, okay, yeah, let's come sit down and talk. No, it doesn't work. Those are not the principles of revolution. They're not, for good or for bad, for better or for worse, it's simply not the principles of revolution. All right? They need to study. Look at, the French Revolution, the American Revolution, all these, the
Spanish Inquisition.
The Spanish, the Mexican
Bolshevik Revolution. all revolutions, and I say it to say, I keep saying this, that governments around the world that now claim to be democratic governments have never been established on democracy. Okay? They have a form of democracy. They don't have full democracy. No country is democratic. All right. And in most recent time, other than become more dictatorial and oppressive than democratic.
The US is the perfect example of it, right?
Right.
Because if democracy is supposed to mean one man, one vote, why did we in the US it's have this convoluted system of their what they call the electoral college?
Exactly.
What they claim to say was to protect the small states. It was just meant to protect white people because they realized people of color and the brown and the yellow and the black people were moving to other urban centers. So they made sure this would be put in place to protect these people at that time. So why should a state like North Dakota that has less than 1 million people have the same representation in the US Senate with California that has close to 40 million people, or New York State that has close to 20 million people? That's not democracy.
Exactly.
Or why should somebody who get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 million more votes than his opponent be struggling to win the presidency when you win by such massive 7 billion?
So again, I mean, 6 months before the American election, they already know who the president going to be. So why am I going on rallying and trying to conjure up support for people to vote for me?
Well, America is not a democracy. America is a republic.
It's a republic. It's not a democracy. And what people don't understand, and another thing Americans don't do, I mean, I don't, we can't digressing here but a bit, but to bring it into context, American people don't understand how to vote, where to vote, when to vote. They think by voting a president going to change things when the midterm election is more important than the presidential election, right?
In a sense, it is, because that's where the
judges and everything is, and all the policies for the Senate and the Congress is taking place. So we have more Black people, more people of color have to get involved in those elections. Forget the presidency. He just signed what comes to his desk. You know, get involved in the midterm elections to vote there. Unlike Canada and England and so on, where the people vote actually comes for who's going to be in power. In America, it's not like that. America is a corporation.
The system is completely rigged. But the people who are saying that the system is rigged, it's rigged in their favor, actually, right?
Exactly.
Because look what's happening in and I know we're going to get back to Grenada, but look what's happening, I think it's in Alabama right now, where they drew the congressional boundaries to pack all the Black people in one area to ensure that the Democrats only win one seat in that state.
Right.
When Black people form 25+% of the state population, they only have one representative at the congressional level. All right. And the courts came and said, no, you can't do this. And they came back and said, no, that's exactly what we're going to do. And just a couple of days ago, the courts refused to take the new case and said, you have to draw and you have to create 2 minority districts, right? And they're doing that because they're embarrassed at the level of distrust right now that exists within the Supreme Court of the United States.
Right.
The Supreme Court of the United States has only one thing going for it. One thing. People have to view it as legitimate. That's its only enforcement. Right. Because if the courts, as it continues to become to show that it's more biased, that it's instead of justice, it's politics. If it continues to lose its popularity within the American public, that more than anything can erode more of what is America than anything else. So they have to be careful about that. So that pushback was about regaining some credibility with the public.
Right.
But the system here is completely rigged. It's completely rigged. In almost every election, and especially in the midterm election, Democrats get sometimes 1 to 3 million more votes than the Republican Party. But almost always they end up with less seats in the House of Representatives. And that's because they have these districts where they draw. In other words, the common joke in the US is that voters don't pick their representative, the representative pick their voters. So they know who exactly, so they will cut a congressional district through one house if they have to, you know? So the people upstairs or the people in the front of the house voting Democratic and the people in the back of the house might be voting Republican. I don't know. It's a totally corrupt system. But just get it back to our situation.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm open to conversation. If somebody could give me a credible reason why this date is not appropriate to be a launch for what? Because it would be an attempt to move from a dark day in our history to a day of celebration. And I don't think there's any better metaphor to describe that.
You know, so someone will argue, why not October 25th? They will say, well, John, October 25th was our freedom day for us, our day, but that's a day you talk about.
October 25th was anybody
no.
who
That's an argument a lot of people is making. Why not October 25th? Why October 19th when the people kill other people? But the US is not innocent of killing people on the same day.
Well, no country should never acknowledge or celebrate another country invading your thing. No way.
Exactly.
No way.
Exactly my point.
Okay.
Why should I celebrate an invasion? Whether good or bad, why should I celebrate it? I mean, the Vietnamese don't celebrate the invasion of the United States in their country. Iraq don't celebrate it. Afghanistan. Why is Grenada celebrating the 25th? I don't know what happens. No country, and let me tell you, they didn't come to free you. They did not. They didn't come to free nobody in Grenada. If that is so important, why didn't they go to South Africa and free South Africa? Why
exactly.
Exactly. Was in the same crisis, in a deeper crisis than Grenada was in.
Of course.
But they never been to South Africa to invade it. Because the same people that they fighting against them in South Africa. And
absolutely.
You understand? They didn't go to free you.
They didn't go to free the people of Chile that time under Augusto Pinochet.
They didn't do that. That wasn't in their best interest.
No.
The reason why they came to Grenada was to put fear into you to be that communism will ruin your life. Okay?
Yeah.
Secondly, they came in because of is in their best interest for economic purposes. I'm going to say what economic purposes? They could use Grenada as they use any other Caribbean country to control the region.
The truth is that they were afraid that the Grenada Revolution would succeed.
Yeah.
And that if the Grenada Revolution succeeded 10, 15 years, that it would totally change the political landscape in the Caribbean. Because no longer would prime ministers in the other countries be able to lie to their people, okay? With poor housing, or no health care, or no opportunities in education, or no real opportunities in infrastructure building, or no opportunities in developing a social wage, or no opportunities in us controlling our wealth, where we had state-owned enterprises demonstrating an ability to operate in.
Okay, I think it's frozen there for a bit. Yes, there is frozen, folks. So let us take a song here. Okay.
So when the opportunity came about, Grenada did not suffer. Grenada was not the only country that suffered from the US invasion. The entire region suffered. It put the entire region back, okay? Some of the same values and principles that the revolution was promoting at that point in time are popular today. It's popular in the United States.
Yes.
Okay, it's popular in the United States, not just in the region and most of the Southern Hemisphere. It is popular in the United States. People are demanding better healthcare. People are demanding
education,
more educational opportunities. People are demanding that you don't put destructive industries in their neighborhood that kills them.
Better
People are
transportation.
demanding new environmental rules and regulation to protect themselves from man-made hazard. People are demanding that we move away from fossil fuel to renewable energy. People forget that us in Grenada in 1979 were on the cutting edge of the energy revolution. People forget that we had a policy in Grenada that you could only bring in certain vehicles for personal consumption to help begin to mitigate because in 1979-80, the world had already known about climate change. The big companies, the Exxon, the Mobiles, the Conoco, they had already known the effect that fossil fuel was having on the environment, but they were willing to sacrifice us for profit. And we, as early as 1979, was beginning to tell our people there's a problem here. We have to save money. We have to import less fuel. We have to maintain our foreign reserve. And one way to do that is to have vehicles that are more fuel efficient.
Yes, and also the Manhattan Farm was a stepping stone into creating the natural gas for us to use in Grenada. So with independence, Grenada was, I mean, under Eric Magic Gary, give him credit. And let me say that a lot of people thinking Eric Magic Gary alone went to England for independence for Grenada. I must remind that Bernard Code was part of the committee of drafting, pre-drafting the constitution, what should go in the constitution for Grenada. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. Bernard Code was part and parcel of the independence committee in going to England. As a matter of fact, he said in one of the shows here that somebody from Gary's camp gave him a document, what Gary wanted to put into the constitution for himself to be minister for life, and Bernard got that information pre-going to England, and was able to counterattack that in the process of being in England. So when I think Gary was the only person that was go to England, get an envelope with the constitution, no, it was a whole group of people alongside Gary. He was spearheading.
But more importantly, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
By the time we had gotten into the 1970s, the British were ready to rid themselves of these colonies.
Yes, there was.
So the idea of that negotiation was a formality.
Yes.
Okay.
I agreed. Okay?
Because they were ready to rid themselves of these colonies. So Gary happened to be the prime minister at that time, and all power to him that he sought. But Gary didn't seek independence from Britain because he thought it would be a stepping stone to really develop Grenada. Gary's main interest in seeking independence was to consolidate power.
Yeah, because that's what exactly. Because in the constitution, you want to make yourself prime minister for life.
Yeah, it was to consolidate power in his hands because he was afraid. He was afraid
of the nuances
that had he done the violent crackdown that followed independence, that the British would have sent troops into the island to remove him from power.
Yes.
But if you had independence, then that would not be, the British wouldn't see a need to. Because they would have considered, this was no longer our problem. We wash our hands on it. Let's not forget.
I mean, hold on. Providing there was not, again, and that being said, providing that Gary's intention was not to go swing to the left. Even though in the early 50s, 60s, they was accusing him of being a left communist as well.
Right? He was never that.
But no, he was not that. But he the things he was doing, it was like, in terms of all these strikes and all this stuff like that, it was kind of a trademark in like a leftist activity, right?
Yeah.
So
maybe at that point in time, that was part of his thinking. I'm not gonna. But remember, I think it was 51 or 52, thereabout, when the British had after the massive upheaval, and they had taken him, I think, and taken him to Carriacou and put him on one of their the ships out there. And the report coming out of British intelligence at the time was that Gary was pliable, that he was somebody that we could do business because he could be easily bribed for his own personal benefits. So British intelligence determined that early in the 1950s that he was somebody that at any given time was willing to sell out his people for the right amount.
Well, let me tell you something. I mean, the whole of the Caribbean, most of them was British trained lawyers in the Caribbean, all right? And Central American people, they were still kind of aligned to the imperial power, colonial power still, right?
Yeah.
South African countries. When the Great Revolution began in 1979, began, I'm saying 1972, 73, when the real grassroots, right, and the making of a nuance, the coming in of a new kind of politics in Grenada was beginning to surface in Grenada. The establishment of feeling threatened, not only in Grenada, but in the region and in the world, right?
Yeah,
so that's the young lawyers.
The Great Revolution didn't happen in isolation of whatever else was happening in the Caribbean.
No,
there was a whole movement in the Caribbean coming out of the civil rights movement in the United States for greater participation, for equal rights, for increased opportunities in education and healthcare. For dark-skinned people being able to work in the banks and get the premier jobs in the island. All these were problems. I
gotta give great credit. Excuse me. Give great credit for a lot of these things. I mean, excuse me. Hold on. Give great credit for a number of good things that he did. He stood up for Black people in a big way. He didn't just sit and just enjoy the fruits of his labor. And he probably said, you know what, I work so hard, I do all this stuff for people, it's time for me to get my share. And he was becoming self-centered instead of people. Like, there is something like Bonacode said, there's a lady in town, and Williamson's with the tongue ghetto. I just posted that thing recently about the OC, how to formulation of the OC and stuff like that. And I said that lady tell him, give me a reason why we can't vote for Gary again. Because hear what Gary did for us, right? That's older folks. Unless you could give me a better reason, because some of them wasn't really lining up with what Gary was doing again. He tried to drift away from the original plan. And there was kind of getting disenchanted with him. But there was not a proper alternative. Okay? Yeah. So give me a better alternative than Gary is right now to us that we could vote for you. Okay? And I think in volume 2 of his book, he mentioned that lady name and stuff like that. So that being said, Gary has done as much as he could have done for Grenada up until 1974. Okay, 74, he started disintegrating a little bit later, and he became more brutal and more trying to be more repressive, right? Remain in power. So that's why, and I learned this one thing: any leadership that put an established group of people around him to protect him, besides than the regular forces, he's becoming dictatorial and trying to be protective. So that means even the police don't have no authority over that small group of people, which is secret police. Right? He had those people there to protect him. Now, independence is here. We have independent. We become independent nation. And like I was saying, the truest form of independence came in 1979 when we were to establish ourselves as an independent nation. Yes, Gary became a torture and he started running it, but in 1979 to 1983, the most productive and transformative society in Grenada up until now was the Grenada Revolution.
Absolutely.
And nobody,
no other government comes close.
All right. We're talking about 44 state enterprises was established from 1979, 1983. This is a true independent nation. You have established your own banks. You control your communication system, right? You have your agro industry. You have free education from university up, right? For education. You have proper health care, right? For your people, right? You send 150 people to become doctors to come back. Imagine 150 to become doctors to return to Grenada. They return, and the government of the day then did not have the vision and the plan to put those people in place. So it's like my mother sent me away to become a businessman. right? To run the business for the home. And then there's no business. There's no establishment. So to work with. So that's what happened in Grenada after 1983. They sold out, destroy as much as they can to erase from the Grenadian people memory the productivity of the Grenadian Revolution. How impactful it was, as much they try to do that. So the true independence of Grenada happened in 1983. Okay? Unfortunately for us, all of us, it ended not where we expected to end it. We never expected to end it in any way to begin with. However, it happened. October 19th is now set as a public holiday in Grenada going forward. All right? And people trying to figure out why not 25th. I don't care. The 25th is not to be set.
I never understood why October 25th in Grenada was a holiday. I never understood it. How could you as a nation celebrate your rights being violated by a hemispheric superpower?
And you know the craziest thing about this? They put about a Harvard thing on Reagan in Grenada. How could you do that? And you didn't put up on it with Marisho Aguirre, and I mean, just recently put up on Aguirre and the Keep Picture, which I have put up for, right? I think we should have more of that, you know? But how you could put up a thing of Grenada, like put up one with Christopher Columbus, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't do that. This is a no-no. But let us celebrate our independence of what it really is now, and be moving forward and transforming our society and bringing back some of the things that need to be brought back. The transportation, the proper healthcare, building a proper hospital, you know, better roads for our people. And I always say, something I said, you know, perhaps one of the two biggest things that could be done in Grenada is a.
Let me something here.
Yeah.
We are now 40 years after the collapse, right? We're 40 years after the collapse of the revolution. The Western Main Road still has not been done.
Right.
There were two major projects. One of them I was intimately involved in, earmarked as the two upcoming projects following the completion of the airport. It was the building of the National Stadium and the complete re-engineering of the Western Main Road.
Okay.
Those both projects were in the books and ready to be kicked off.
And can I plug in?
Final months of selecting where the National Stadium was going to be built. Because when the presentation was made to cabinet, we were told that do not assume that it will be built in St. George's. And I remember, Morris, because the airport had been moved from St. Andrews to St. George's, and you now had less economic activity in St. Andrews, he wanted to be sure that sites in St. Andrews, in St. Patrick's, in St. David's were given equal consideration as Queen's Park, so it could become an economic hub for the country going forward. Because when we first presented, we just presented Queen's Park and they sent us right back. No, that's unacceptable. Okay. And here you had a man who knew the country. Okay. I think Sella was in that meeting too. And he asked about why not Plains in St. Patrick's? Why not Lassages in St. David's? Why not we find places in St. Andrews? Do not. So they sent us back to the drawing board and said, take another look at this and come up with something before we make a final decision.
You know something
that the people in construction and public utilities also in the final phase of re-engineering the Western Main Road, opening up tight corners, building of new bridges, building of embankment and supporting walls. All that was part of the Western Main Road project. I knew because I was involved in it.
You know, and you know what? And the reason why the Queen's Park would not have been a better place, which could happen right now whenever rain falls, it's still a problem. Okay. Now, not only that, you was here with Bernard when we spoke to him about the economic development of Grenada and Grenada Economics 101 with Tessa. And he made mention that you don't want to have a ghetto in St. George's, a ghetto-like city. You want to have a city in Grenada that is exclusive of a ghetto, right?
Yeah, so and that happens.
Hence the reason why they don't want to overdevelop St. George's and have no development in the rural part of Grenada. So one of the things that the airport was moved to St. George's was to move the port, and they had the funding and the technology
St. Andrews.
For St. Andrews of a new port in St. Andrews.
I remember that.
It was there. The funding was given, over $300 million was given earmarked for the project to make sure that Grenville, St. Andrews become the port. Because all these things, activities, people leave the country to come to St. George for everything, right?
Yeah.
Guave, Sotes, only St. George's. All parties come to St. George's. Why not go to Grenville? Okay? So make it centralized and make it Grenville be that port where everybody goes to get the goods and stuff. Most of the farmers is outside St. George's. The tractors and things should come to St. George's, St. Andrews. The farming equipment should come to St. Andrews. All this stuff. The banana boat, St. Andrews. Why come to St. George's? So all of this stuff, the exchange of infrastructure, the airport to St. George's, the port back in St. Andrews, and the fishing plant and the agricultural plant and so on is in the countryside. So let it keep the airport, everything, that part, the tourism part on there, the hotels are fine. But then you develop St. Andrews, so you won't have a ghetto like like you have in Jamaica and other countries.
And now look what we have. If you build another house in St. George's, the country might just tip over into the sea. Okay?
Everything is St. George's,
because
so,
everything is St. George. I think
for our 50th anniversary, I think it's imperative that the government or the planning committee, economic planning committee, must look deeply to see how they could further develop outside of St. George's and not have everything centered in St. George's.
You must.
You have to
we have lots of lands. We have lots of lands in St. Patrick's, in St. Andrews, in St. David's. I know it's a little more challenging in St. Mark's and St. John's, but we have areas outside to develop other economic centers in the island outside of St. George's and the southern tip of the island, the Grand Anse area.
Something I always envision, right? And I always envision this piece of building a bridge like from Granita 1910 to Point Celine, branching off to other part of town. I don't know how that could happen, but something I see could happen. And even with the carnage, all the little small schooners and stuff like that, take them out and put them on the other side of town, at the Melvin Street over there, and build out on the water, the little jetties out there. I call it be the cruise ship. Put them out there and let that be. Take them out from that part and make a boardwalk. So if they go over to people walk across, instead of going all around, could walk across to the Calgary Fire Station or something like that. Make a boardwalk. Something like that could happen. I want to talk about transformation. I think all of these things have to be considered and become a sort of a reality for Grenada. I think
you can't develop if you don't develop infrastructure, and if you develop in infrastructure, transportation, how do you move people and goods is critical to any development agenda.
Yeah,
and this, like I've said it 1,000 times already. This 15-seater ovens that we have in Grenada, calling it public buses, they gotta go. They gotta go.
I agree.
They have to go.
I think
the government need to phase them out over the next 5, 6, 7, whatever among the years is determined. And if you're going to, I'm not saying ban the importation, but they cannot be used as transportation. They could be used as taxi, as personal vehicles. A company can decide to bring one to carry its employees around. All that would be fine. But for them to be used as buses, we got to phase that out.
Yeah. I think the killing, the slaughtering, for lack of a better word, of the PTS, NTS, killing that was a disaster for Grenada. It was one of the
first thing they put somebody who had never been involved in run anything in his life, and who became general manager of and they changed the name, I think, after to PTS. Whatever that stupidity involved in changing that, changing the name like that would make a difference. He had never had an experience running anything.
I mean, and think about it. The person who was running was just about 29 years old when he got the challenge to do it. It was Byron Campbell.
Yeah.
And it was run effectively. Okay? The Batarante was making profit, serious profit. We heard it here from Bonat. Serious profit. They get rid of that. The agro-industrial plant.
Up to now, we don't know where they're playing end up, right?
Exactly. You understand? So that's what you have 5 banks, you pay $1 for each one. 3 banks, yes. 3 banks, you pay $1 for each one. You keep that one. So you spend about $5 to get to establish 5 state enterprises. Yeah? Out of 44 state enterprises that was created in the 4.5 years. You pay $1 for those enterprises. And people don't know how this came about. So let me just drop it here. The banks didn't own nothing in Grenada, only your money, and the money wasn't theirs. The building wasn't the bank's own. Okay? The furniture was depreciated, the computers were depreciated. So you couldn't get full value for those computers. What the banks really own in Grenada? They were just taking profit off your money, give you little or nothing for it, they invest in other places and making money out of it for yourself, charging fees. They wasn't doing a service to Grenada.
Yeah.
Banks are not doing a service to Grenada. The building that the banks owning Grenada is not living in and operating out of is not theirs. They're paying rent for it. The computers, if they had a computer 5 years ago or 2 years ago, it depreciated. A computer got a computer for $300. Okay?
Yeah.
So you after 1 year, your computer worth about $20, right? In value. You don't want much. I go pick up a computer inside the street, somebody in a yard sale for $20. Okay? And then wipe out all they have and put it and work it. So the computers is not valuable. The information that you have is valuable. Okay? Nothing else is valuable. So they pay them $1 for the bank to take over the entire assets and give it to Grenadian people. So the profits could be remaining Grenada. And that's what government did. They sold it out. For what? 5 of those banks gone. And the banks was established under one system, was the NCB. Okay? So what is independence to you? What does independence mean to you as a people? Really? So people, you could call in, the number is 437-980-7467. 50 years of independence, what have changed for you? What is it different? What has made Grenada different for 50 years for you? What are the changes? What are the progress for 50 years, governing your own self, not being controlled by a monarchy, decide who and what and where? You had it, you have it. 50 years later, what have you? The
best, I don't know what you want to call it, it's not a network, but the best portion of our roads in Grenada today still remains the Eastern Main Road, started under the revolution. It still remains to this day the best roads that we have in Grenada, right?
The feeder road,
our healthcare is worse off today than it was in 1983. There were almost 150 students living in Grenada annually to study at the tertiary level. We don't have that, okay? So less opportunities in education. Our schools are in terrible, terrible shape. Our roads are in terrible shape. Agriculture has decreased significantly. Our food import bill is in next year, if we stay on this current trajectory, we will hit $1 billion in the next decade. We will hit $1 billion. We don't have a fully developed tourism product that tells the rest of the world why Grenada, why should Grenada be the country that I visit? Okay. We don't have that.
Right.
We just have not done. So these are all things that we're not energy efficient, certainly. Okay. We're not taking care of the elderly. The social wage has not improved. Okay. We have an emerging diabetic emergency in Grenada because we are not eating healthy, because we are now consuming too much of the highly processed food that's made in the Western world. Okay, we have a problem with alcoholism in the country. So there are just enormous issues on the plate of the current administration to handle. And they for the first few years, they're going to have to clean up. It's just about cleaning up the disaster. We have a housing emergency. You have 2 and 3 generations of people sometimes living under the same roof. Many young people who may be a young police officer, a teacher, a nurse, or working in the private sector are unable to buy a small house for themselves to raise their family. So these are all issues that we have to look at,
something there, and I got to make the point about this housing program, because on this in one of the shows that we did, the Tuesday morning show with Bernard, he make mention of the NIS. One of the deciding factors out of NIS would be to build new houses, right, for younger Grenadians, and the profit from the houses will go back into the NIS to increase the value for people, right? So either rent it, you lease it, or you sell them houses.
Yeah,
right, Grenadians. Now we have a crisis in Grenada, sort of a current crisis. People are paying up, and most of the people was given this house. He was given the house in a political favor, according to some experts and some reports I've heard. Right? So people are paying up for the houses. What at 50 years, 50 years of independence, you get houses by the government, and you're not paying up for it. What should be done to those people not paying? You can't. I mean, you don't want to
listen to me. Yes, I know at least 3 people living in the United States who have apartments in those buildings that were built in the last decade in Grenada. They were all heavily connected to the NNP administration. They were all given apartments. Okay, the apartments are vacant right now.
Wow.
They're not paying for it. They were just given the apartment. The new administration have to evict these people.
Right.
Because they don't have any need for the housing. This housing was not built for people living in the diaspora. These were built to alleviate the housing shortage in Grenada, and to get people into better quality of life. If you live in the United States and you want to rent an apartment for your family, fine. But the fact that you are living here and you were given an apartment all because you are a strong supporter of the NNP, that property should be taken away from you and given to somebody who needs it. I don't care who it goes to. I don't care whether the person is supporting the government or not supporting the government. We're all Grenadians. But those issues, and what the housing authority is owed almost $5 million.
Yeah, that is crazy. To me, this is really madness. Real madness. People have to pay up. I mean, and not much money. But you know something? Why is under this administration this happening? During the PIJ, we had a housing program, and people was paying up to $20 a month.
Yeah.
They was paying it up. There was never a crisis for money. Yeah. I think when people are educated and they understand the process of development, they was drawn into a new mindset of thinking that it's for the overall development and benefit for the country. I think people have more respect for that happens when you lay out a vision for people,
and they actually see how that vision ties into their own personal life.
Exactly.
They can see how their lives will be improved. They can see how they will be able to better educate their children. They can see how they will be better able to take care of grandma. Okay. Yes. They can see how this thing personally benefits them, not in a way that they are the only one benefiting, but because the society is benefiting, because because the country's economy is expanding. Okay. They can see that I will now be better prepared to meet whatever challenges are coming down the road for me. That if I get sick, that I have good health care. That if I have a young child who is brilliant, okay, he'll be given the opportunity to go to the best high schools and then go on to university. That's what laying out a vision is all about.
Right. And so 50 years, we're talking about 50 years of Grenada independence, folks. I'm here with Delbert Baptiste, my co-host, every Saturday morning. Join us again next Saturday too. But I want to play a song before we come back to continue discussing that independence thing, because I don't think a lot of people understand what it means to be independent and what have been, what roadmap, what vision has been laid out, right, for the Grenadian people so they could participate in the process of transforming their society. Because there is a process, but who is aware of the process and how this process would benefit me as a Grenadian, and how can I participate in the process of transforming Grenada after 50 years? Taking this song and we come right back to you.
The question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want a society that we plan, that we set goals and work towards achieving them? Or do we want a society where we get up and say, whatever happens, happens? That is ultimately the test that we must pass. A society does not improve by chance. We don't become wealthy by chance.
We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. Oh gosh, Deacon intelligent, wow, he's so magnificent. Oh gosh, the people he represent, yes, and he will not relent. Oh gosh, the country about heart, not an opinion, that is a fact. With Deacon, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right. Stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Voting Deacon for Prime Minister, oh, for a prosperous Grenada. Let's travel this path together, oh. With Deacon on our side, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have a charismatic young leader. Carving a bright future is the mantra. Our sweet country going through well. The captain to steady ship is Deacon Mitchell. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it.
And we have the power. We, the citizens of Grenada, have that power. And so I repeat, take part in the political process. If you want to change the narrative of the political process, if you want to move it from being destructive and negative and in the gutter, take part. If that's not what you stand for, take part and change the narrative, change the culture, so that we can ultimately change our society.
That is Mitchell. Well, Delbert Baptiste, we're back with you. Let me change my headphone. I don't think I get any best juice from this one. I don't know why. But we're back here again, and I don't know how the best Mitchell. You heard the opening statement in our speech. we have to change. And I think he's right. by making that statement. But the question is, how many people in Grenada really, apart from the hype in the song, really understand that statement? That's a powerful statement.
And you see, that's why I keep going back, because you cannot develop a country, you cannot push a country forward, you cannot move it into a new higher construct if you're not united behind a singular purpose. Okay.
Yes.
And again, I keep saying that the only thing that I'm disappointed so far in this administration, I'm not talking about little missteps here. All governments around the world make missteps.
All the time.
So I'm not here to, if I disagree, I disagree, fine. But the only thing that I fundamentally disagree with, or not so much disagree, but I would like to see the Prime Minister do a little bit more, is to speak out more on the importance of us coming together as a people. Okay? I know in the era of social media and WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all the things at our disposal, that it is extremely difficult. But he has to do it, because that is going to make his job easier. Yeah. The more united behind a singular purpose, the easier it is for us to come together at a community level in the diaspora, easier for him to work with his cabinet, for him to work with the public sector, with the public and private sector to accomplish our national goals. So I want to see him speak more to us uniting as a people. And frankly, to use the sort of malicious, vindictive kind of tribalism that exists today in American politics as a warning signal to us to say, this is not where you want to go. That yes, we can have different political views. Yes, we can support different political parties. We can like or love different political figures and characters. But when it comes to nation building, that we have to have a singular purpose, and that we have to, especially in period now, we're not in an election period, that we ought to be able to put aside the political backbiting, the aim of destroying people in this political process, and put our best feet forward and make sure that we put all our energy towards nation building. And I think the more that he can begin to speak about that, the more our people, because our people want progress. They want to see good happen, right?
Definitely.
So he needs to give them a bigger, more overarching reason to support that initiative.
Talking about that, I talking about speaking to your people and unifying Grenada. The former Prime Minister, after the throne speech, made some remarks. I actually couldn't put it on. I want to hear people say what he said. I'm probably heard what he said. This government is the most lie the most. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking, like, is he really listening to himself before he starts? Projection.
He's projecting his own because I don't know what to call it. Whatever I can call it, I can't say it on the radio. So he's projecting his gross incompetence, his vindictiveness, his maliciousness, his pettiness, his tribalism onto other people.
I can't fathom for one good reason why the doc will be making those kind of statements. Secondly,
he's shameless.
The oil situation that they know he's trying to get ahead of, get answers to. I mean, you promised people an election about oil, and then you're talking about who invests into oil, you need fire to actually make some money. But you told people, you lying to them? I think change. You promised people national health care. That was promises that was made, right? Now that would have been part of one of his legacy if he had done that, but that wasn't done. So comparing now with a government who is making some achievement, making some changes, doing other things, 50 years now, approaching the 50th year, and there is structure have to be put in place for the next 50 years. The vision must be sold to the people. There must be a singleness, a single vision of where Grenada going, what we want to see happening, what happening in the next 2 years, the next 3 years, the next 4 years, the next 5 years, next 6 to 7, next 10 years. What is the vision for the next 6, 10 years? So people know what they're working towards as a collective. What we as a people is going to work to, what are we, the diaspora going to contribute towards the vision. Remember when the airport started, the vision was for the airport. How much bonds that was sold for the airport? What bonds for the airport?
Yeah.
You understand? Because you were sold to them as a part. This is where we're going. That's what could happen for us if we have that airport. You understand? What would happen if we have a hospital? You know, imagine right now, and it is kind of a sad if, and I don't want to say it could happen. What happens if a 747 crash?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it.
What will happen in Grenada?
Yeah, we don't have the capacity.
What if the stadium as it is collapses and 300, 400, 5,000 people in the Queen's Park? Do we have the capacity at the hospital to accommodate that?
Yeah.
The biggest space would have been the Queen's Park, and that collapse. Where would they put people? Where would they host people? Where would they treat people?
Yeah.
So we have to start thinking.
We don't have designated areas for triage and emergency.
We don't have.
So we should have these medical tents that we can just roll out in case of an emergency to treat people, the people who have more acute problems get, immediately into the hospital, and those who could be handled. So, there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of things,
So I think
one of my good friends she's a strong, diehard NNP. Up to now, she can't tell me why she supports NNP. And she called me recently complaining about healthcare in Grenada. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me.
Anybody saying that? Anybody saying they have a veil over the eyes? They have a veil. Because the same Mr. Steele, I can remember seeing a picture here in the dark talking about better healthcare when NDC was important in 2008. They demonstrated in the street of St. George's asking for better health. And what happened when they come in the power? What improved? Then you accuse people of tiffing, ridiculing doctors and workers in the hospital. That is improvement. You understand? You still end up with people dying in the hospital more than ever. People afraid to go to the hospital to get treatment. Right?
Yeah.
So what have you done in your project area? And a matter of fact, in the last independence speech of the NMP, there was never a vision outlaid for the next 5 years of Grenada government. There was none. There was no vision in Grenada laid by the former government for the next 5 to 10 years. Okay? The River Road project has become an ISO in some respects. Then you have the Molyneux Bridge situation that collapsed on them when there was one about years before. They take no heed to that. Okay? So all of these things, you look back now and say, well, what have they done? Really, what have they done for the Grenadian people? Apart from, even he himself complain about people shouldn't stay in Imani for so long, right? And then the other guys just say, you think the man stupid? Election here, you need to keep Imani together. Keep them. So so using people.
It's all about consolidating political power. It's not about helping people.
And like you say, he was one of the best politicians in the region. And is the craftiness of manipulating people.
So for people who say that, right? There are people who, and our good friend Dennis says that all the time. And my good cause Michael says it, that Gary was this exemplary leader. All right. But let's because you have to be judged during your era up against people. I can't judge, it's unfair to judge LeBron James against Michael Jordan, because they played in two different eras, two different times in the league. Yes. I can't judge Steve Curry against Magic Johnson or what's his name, Kyrie Irving against Larry Bird. They're playing in different era. They don't even play in different positions. So you have to be judged in your era, okay, against the people who you were up against. So the people who were prime ministers in the Caribbean during the Gary era was Eric Williams, Errol Barrow, Tom Adams, Michael Manley, Forbes Bonham,
Virginia,
Milton Cato, Compton, Verboord, the others kind of slip my memory now. Can you say that Gary was better than any one of them? Honestly, no, you cannot.
Yeah.
He did, you know, I had my own problem with Tom Adams. I had my own problem with Williams. I had my problem with Bonham. I had my problem with all of them. But every single one of them were a better prime minister to their people in their country than Gary ever was to Grenada. So if you are at the bottom of your class, you are the bottom of your class, because he was determined by the other political leaders of that time to be one of the worst that the Caribbean produced.
Right.
So that when he went, yeah, most of them were upset by the means which he was taken out, but they weren't upset that he was no longer on the stage, because he was an embarrassment to the Caribbean. I saw somebody this week actually posted that Gary's address to the UN in 1978 is one of the best speeches ever given at the UN. And I have to say, well, how low is your standard? Gary embarrassed himself and the Grenadian and the Caribbean folks at the UN in 1978 with his stupid speech about UFO. And
hold on, Delfo. But today we see UFO all over the place now.
Well, listen.
At that time,
how did that put up 4 posts in Grenada? How did it build a road? How did it improve healthcare?
I know.
How did it give? The last year of the Gary's reign, he gave 3 scholarships for Grenadians to study overseas. One was his daughter, the other one was Hostein's daughter, and I think the third one was another minister or one of the senators' daughter. Those are the 3 scholarships, 3 people that were given scholarship to go overseas and study. In the first year of the revolution, 109 people, including the children of Gary's main supporters, went overseas to study. So don't come. I was there, man. I remember the history. I remember my government scholarship being taken away from me because I started to get active in student council. I remember being thrown off the government school bus because I was caught with a new jewel paper in school. I remember these things. I remember having to run from Gary's secret police in Guave, where I was going to school. You remember the 1978 International Student Rally in GBSF? After that, they mocked us on the radio, and Gary himself said that if the police saw more than 3 of us together, they should put a good beating on us. That was the prime minister.
I remember that.
Oh.
Talking about that independence, and we're talking about people have been positioned into in places and offices, young revolutionaries today. And the most 2 recent I see is Wendy Crawford Daniel and Tally Francis being the ambassador of the United States, our president of the National Students Council, our secretary at the time of the National Students Council, Wendy Crawford. So we see the people. There's some who complain about what the revolution did to them, and they continue to complain about what the revolution did, and they have not made a significant contribution, have not transformed their lives. And we see those students who was trained for office during the revolution time are now in office still, but is able to lead the pack.
Well, these are two of our finest citizens that we produced, and they would be that under any system in Grenada. I mean, I remember working with Tally for years. We worked together, and the brother was just way ahead in terms of, how he dealt with people, how he brought people together, how he solved conflict. I mean, just way, we were all 16, 17 years old. And here you are, the brothers making mature decisions on how to bring the National Student Council together, who got assigned what task, who, so,
I made a list recently, okay? I made a list recently for a brother who asked what I thought about it, if I know this guy, Tally Francis, and as the ambassador of the United States. I say, yes, we go way back to 1979. He was the president of the National Students Council. NSC, and Vice President, all right, Vice President Christopher Nelson, who is now Director of Public Prosecution. Ruggles Ferguson, all right, was the PRO. Dr. Wendy Crawford, Daniel, was the Secretary. Right? Make a statement here, I want to read it on air, right? Treasurer, Stephen Fletcher. Shane Ross was Assistant PRO. John Callis was editor of the Eastern Bloc newsletter. NSC and chairman of the Eastern Side Students Council. Dr. Mitchell, who is now the doctor, right?
Yeah, it's from St. David, yeah.
Delbert Baptist, Ken Lewis, Remy Noel, Teacher Ed, Dr.
The whole party, man.
Dexter Olive, aka John Pop St. John, Gavin,
Adrian, Adrian,
Father Gerald Paul, right?
Yeah,
Ken Whiteman, Patty Lewis, Patty Lewis,
Keith
right?
Ventu,
Keith Haley,
Gavin Stott,
right?
Dexter David,
right? She's now head of the Chamber of Commerce, right?
I mean,
Patty Antoine, Val Phillip, Director of Manual Life, Marlene Harris, Coach. I mean,
we had a powerful group. We had a powerful group. No question about it.
I'm saying all of us was this grouping of student body in Grenada.
Yes.
The most powerful student body ever existed in Grenada.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Well trained.
Nobody ever came close to that before or after that.
He was trusted with finances that they can give a 12-year-old today. Can you imagine?
I remember, I think it could have been 80 or 79, the ISU rally. And we were given $200,000 to pay buses.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that one bus driver could have complained about not getting paid.
Yes.
And we was young. Under 16 and under, 16, 17 and under, and we was having lot of money, coordinating buses event to go to St. George's for those rallies.
Yeah.
We was given responsibility at a very young age.
You
know, imagine, and the leadership of the Great Revolutionary time was in the 30s, not in the 40s, in the 30s.
And 20s.
20s and 30s. Right?
Yeah.
The leadership was in the 20s. As a matter of fact, when Morris died, he was almost 36 years old. Okay? Think about that for a moment. That is soaking for a bit.
Like I said, like somebody asked me this week, you know, the person is not from Grenada, well, I shouldn't say that. Her father is from Grenada. She was born in London, and her mom is Ghanaian, and she has done some extensive studies on the Grenada Revolution, but she told me she can't put any reasons on why it failed. Why? She said because, you know, everything seemed to be going so perfect, you know. And I said, I don't know if I can give you an answer. Maybe youthful ignorance, youthful whatever. I mean, you know, we're looking at this in retrospect now, but we had a lot of 25 and 26-year-olds with serious power and authority in Grenada during that period, you know. And maybe we just weren't equipped to be making those complex decisions as much as we thought we were. So, but you know, the point is that March 13th, 1979 to October 1983 remains the most enlightened period in Grenada's history. No government before or after has come close to having the deep achievements, the quality achievements that we were able to bring to the citizens of the country. Not in healthcare, not in education, not in agriculture, not in tourism. And remember, we were fighting the tourism, right? Because the US were waging propaganda against Grenada and telling their citizens not to go there, all right? And they had travel advisory. and people were still coming from the US to Grenada and saying, our government is lying to us. This is a beautiful, peaceful country to visit. I remember I had a brother at the time who was living in the United States and had heard the revolution come about, and he was so nervous and came to Grenada shortly thereafter because he said when he came, what he was hearing in the US is that people were hungry and starving on the streets. And I mean, there was just massive propaganda in the US about what was happening. And if you was on the street before 6 in the morning or 7 in the night, they would just shoot you. And I mean, just really ridiculous stuff. So he came to Grenada actually believing that nonsense, you know. And when
propaganda works, yeah? Propaganda works very well if you do this.
Yes.
And I think
when he came to Grenada and saw what was happening, he was stunned. He was stunned.
I think Hitler make a very great point that if you tell a lie often enough, it will become the truth.
Yeah, it becomes the truth, yeah.
And I think one of the things that had to happen even now, I think that this government have to speak in volumes, real loud, put up the billboards, don't have every progress that they have done.
You have to tell your story. If you're not telling your story, the other person is not going to tell it for you.
Exactly. And that's where, even if you put up like a bridge in a community, put up a big sign.
Yes.
You know, make the people know what you're doing. They tangible, untangible. Write it up, put it down, write it down. You know what? My good friend James Gordon from Chantimel, I think Chantimel said, he said, one day I was doing something, and I said, I remember. And he said, John, watch this. He said, the greatest memory you have, no matter how good it is, if not written, you could forget it.
Yeah.
It's ink, he says, is the greatest memory. Write it down. Write it down. So the greater government at this time must engage in proper propaganda. Yeah?
And digitize what you're doing so it remains part of our history.
Part of our history. And
that years from now, researchers can come and have this document. What was the process? How you got there? How it was received by the people? What effects it had on the lives of those people in that community? Listen, we have to tell our story. We have to tell our story.
Part of our independence is to ensure that our people understand the past, the present, and the future. And the future is better than the past. Okay? And it should be better for them. They should be looking forward to bigger and better things in the next 50 years. They might be here, or they put the plan down. And government should be a continuum, not subtract and take away from progressive ideas.
Yeah.
Okay? Progressive ideas must continue, and the people must ensure, because if you have a vision and it's written down and they know it, it will hold the next government accountable to continue it.
Absolutely.
Don't do that.
Absolutely.
We will be a regressive nation as we did for the last 40 years. And great have regress. I hope that this
I gotta tell you, well, you know, I am going to defend that process. I'm going to accept responsibility for the mistakes that were made, the errors, the flaws, all the shortcomings. But when you put them up side by side, there is no comparison. There is no comparison. Okay? If your only criticism of the revolution is that some people were locked up, sing that song to somebody who cares. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
You know what is sad about this whole thing? It reminded me of I was talking to a therapeutic friend of mine, and he said, you know, people come to counseling, don't really want to get help. They don't really want to get help, you know. They want to be babysat into a cradle and rock in the arms of the discomfort. You understand?
Because you see, when you come to me with that argument, what I tell you is, how about the hundreds of our people that have died because of poor health care since of that? How about the hundreds of our young people who were never given the opportunity to further their education, become lawyers and scientists and doctors and highly trained in different disciplines that they can contribute to the country? How about our elderly who was never taken care of? How about the continued exploitation of our resources? Okay. How about the failure to develop our human resources? When you can answer those questions, then come tell me about whoever was locked up, because I'm not losing any tears over it. I'm really not.
Exactly. And you know, one of the saddest thing about it is most of the people making those claims have not, in any significant way in this present time, able to contribute positively into transforming Grenada.
Listen, like I said, 90% of the people who were locked up, 90% of the people who are locked up deserve to be locked up.
And let me tell you something, even those today, some of them who wasn't going in the previous government, right? They have not done anything of substance for the Ghanaian people to look back at, right? Instead of the $100 in the t-shirt and this kind of nonsense are going. People were afraid to speak, even more than they were afraid to speak in the revolution time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Of course.
Somebody, when they talk about the revolution, was not popular. How do you account for thousands of people showing up in a rally every month?
Listen, if somebody say that, I just immediately, there's nothing I can say.
How do you account for the people who get free education? People who could not read and write.
Yeah.
How to read and write. Farmers who could not read and write.
You come and tell me the revolution was not popular. I don't have any, I can't add it. There's nothing I can add to that conversation. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing. I don't have any, you don't have anything to say to me, and I don't have any, there's no way to go with that, because if you're going to start off by telling me a bold-faced lie, then I don't know what else we can talk about.
I asked somebody recently that if Maurice wasn't popular, have you ever looked at the October 19th turnout?
Exactly.
How could you say he was not popular? 90% population came out.
Yeah. For
the prime minister.
Yeah.
If there was an election in Grenada and that day, a week following, and Maurice survived this, Maurice will win the election.
Oh, hands down. Hands down.
You understand? Nobody has come close to a popular support as Maurice in Grenada at any time.
No other prime minister.
You understand? So, despite the demise of the revolution or what transpired there, the Grenada Revolution has laid the foundation for economic and socio and political takeoff in Grenada. Unfortunately, the government that came after that until now has not built on it.
No.
They keep chipping away of the benefits and the progress of the revolution. They
ran marketing board into the ground. They have not provided the kind of direction that NIS would have needed to grow and emerge as an economic powerhouse in the country.
Right.
Like I said, we don't have a tourism product. We have poor infrastructure, poor schools, a hospital sometimes that doesn't even have the most basic drugs. Somebody was complaining to me the other day that the hospital, I'm like, for years, Keith Mitchell refused to fund the consortium that buys medicine for the OECS country. Grenada was always never paying their bill. You didn't remember that? You didn't know that when he was in power?
Yeah.
Now that you know that we are trying our best to do it, that we fall short, because I don't know what people expect, that overnight everything is going. And no, I shouldn't say people expect that. The NNP operatives who had their no-show jobs, who were getting paid for not doing anything, they're the ones who are most upset. Those who were getting free apartments, they are the ones who are most upset. Because the ordinary people see that this government is making an honest effort to address the basic needs of our people.
You know something there, but, and I got to make that point, because some way, somehow, persons who was always the way they were, continue to be that way still. They haven't changed.
No.
And I say they're not getting locked up this time. They're making more destructive statements and arguments than ever, right? So here we are, 50 years later, and you have not contributed significantly to the overall development of Grenada, but they always go back to what the revolution did wrong. And in October 19, whether they like it or not, it has declared a national holiday. Suck that up, because you're not going to change that. If it's written in law, there's no going to come and reverse that. It's in law. They'll go back to the courts to change that now, and you take a process. The second thing, I think one of the biggest mistakes that was made again by the NNP back then, as part talking about our independence, Grenada situation. You spend a lot of money, you waste a lot of money in Grenada.
That's a disaster.
That was a disaster for Grenada. You know what I mean? I don't agree and understand.
Grand Lake and the Grand Lake, the Kawani Bay development.
Yes.
The development that they did with Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
All these Grenadians are going to be paid.
I'm glad the government take back the Hamilton.
Yeah, but we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, but at least it become yours.
It's gonna cost the Grenadian people money.
Yeah, it will cost them some money. That's true. But at the same time, you can't. I think that's giving away your patrimony. It's like no.
You cannot. You cannot.
You understand? It will cost us to take it back. I remember when I was on the show and we talk about we were talking about the last thing, right? I said, one of the backdrop of this. These people have a whole scheme of lawyers, and they won't take it to a local court. They take it to an international court with a lot of money that you don't have. That money could have for the development of the country. So that's why it's not good to sell them the property, lease it to them.
Yeah.
And you could terminate the lease, or you could wait until the lease end, give them a 60-year lease, or 25 years lease, or whatever, and renew it every 10 years, every 5 years. You understand? Go make it 100 years. You understand? Make it every 20 years probably. Because at the end of the day, right, you do 100 years, or 99 years, or whatever, you still at the losing end.
Yeah.
So you make it short term. So if anything happen, the government are coming to say, look, we're not renewing it. You know what I mean? And you can't say, they're not taking it back from it, that's the end of your lease. So I think that's the way, selling it to them, lease the land to them. Lease the land. Whatever property there is, lease it. So like, I can't take a rental property and say this.
Yeah, there's no way we should be selling any beachfront land in Grenada.
No, it shouldn't be. And there was argument for that. You know, so why we want to do that? So ladies and gentlemen, Gem FM is here, and the opinion concern, that's just us, not MFM. But what my point here is today, I hope Grenadians could really rally around Grenada moving forward, participating in the process of transformation. A lot of people complaining because somehow some people didn't feel favored after the election. Some people feel that they should have been positioned in certain places. They didn't see the need to apply for a job. They should give them a political favor, as NMPs just signed up favors before, and they should be doing that. Let me tell you something. I heard Pablo say this one thing, and I hold this to be true. The NDC government have done a better job of managing the economy than NMP has ever done.
Of course.
Right? So because
they have not always been the political animal that they should be.
No.
But
they manage better. They do a better management than the NMP government. And that comes down to favoritism, political favoritism. They did not do that. You know what? And they allow people to stay in their jobs, whether it's about the government or not. And that did not work in their favor. You understand? So I hope that people now who like what they've seen, apart from those who felt that they was not given their due from the NDC side, the political landscape have shifted a little bit. Deacon has become and still is a popular person in Grenada, a leader in Grenada, over the other prime ministers in the past couple years, primarily Keith Mitchell. He is a better Mitchell, you know, in the two thus far. Person will argue that a lot of things that is happening in Grenada is not what it make out to be. There's a lot of things that is not being told to the people, a lot of constitutional violation that is taking place. And people make those arguments. But let us be frank. Sometimes the law is there, and sometimes you have to do things that the benefit of the people and explain to them why it has to be done.
Yeah.
You understand? So something might be in the constitution, but practically can't be applied to our present state of affairs. Right? Understanding too, the constitution was a guideline to govern, is not the end all for everybody. You understand? So
when you question, and I've seen that, people say that somebody actually put that they didn't see anything in the law that allows for a Ministry of National Mobilization. But show me in the law where it says that we should have a Ministry of Implementation or a Ministry of Housing or a Ministry of, there's just so many, okay? So if something affects your sensibility because you know, the first Ministry of National Mobilization in Grenada was during the revolution. So you're opposed to the revolution. So it doesn't matter what this new Ministry of National Mobilization is doing now, you're opposed to the name. But meanwhile, you enjoy the benefits of the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
That's the kind of crazy construct that we have in Grenada right now.
So for me, I think it's important for the government to, again, the Mobilization and Transmission Ministry, to bring out and to put out there all the benefits, all the things the government is doing right. Yeah, everything must be out there. The vision must be sold to the people. Draw them into it. Have a way of having them participate in the process. Again, I love this town hall thing going on. I think it's a good thing to be done, and you're doing. Engaging people on a regular and consistent basis. Not only the politicians, but the voted politician MPs, but the persons, the permanent secretaries, people responsible for certain projects must be pulled into those community meetings, those town hall meetings, to answer questions on the projects that they're doing, to give account to the people in the community what they're doing there. So you hold them accountable. They know now that they don't sit behind a desk and get a paycheck. They have to come to the community, not just the politician, but they too must come to the community and answer questions. Why this project in Guelph taking so long? Not the Prime Minister, not the Minister. Use the first point of contact for the project. Answer to the people why it's taking so long. I think the government must put them in the hard seat, and that is going. They can go into every meeting to answer people all the time. Put those bureaucrats in front of the people to answer to them for what they do in the project. I think that will make a big difference in proper project planning and implementation of projects. Not just Andy going on talk, but the people responsible directly for the project on the ground. Why is this since January? Why the bridge is not completed yet?
Exactly.
Don't call Deacon to answer that question. Don't call Andy. You, the project manager, must come before the people and answer the question. Why are you taking so long with this project? What's the problem? How can we help you solve it? If I do we call self-help work on a weekend to ensure the project complete in time, let us know what help you need, because government can do everything. So just see how many PRDs to do it, bring them out, let the people question them. And you'll see the difference, because now they know they will be held accountable. Not just keeping a pretty paycheck and dressing nice and driving a nice car in town and building a big house. They need to have answer to the people for the project that they're in charge of. It's no longer you come in and get a nice job with a tie in your neck and walking down with your chest up and head high and not being accountable. You have to be held accountable to the people for the job that you're assigned to do. It's simple as that. The Prime Minister can be calling in every town hall meeting to answer a question that you overseeing. You have to answer to it. Not the Prime Minister. You have to be using front man. So I cannot go call the Prime Minister why the road in Guelph is not fixed. Where's the project manager?
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. Who's for the project? Call them in before the people and let the people question them. You sleeping in your house and Prime Minister answering question that you have first-hand information about. I don't understand that. You have to be held accountable for it. Bring them out. Draw them out from wherever they are. No sitting comfortably in political seats, in political offices, or in ministries, coming from 8 to 5 and go home, or 8 to 4 and go home, and the Prime Minister in the night have to go and answer questions. You come and answer questions now. It's your turn. No easy ride. Game's over. You know? Come on and answer. Because only time politician does that because they want to look good. So for election. But let those people, because you see, one thing I know about management, the manager, the man who is so-called in charge of the office, he doesn't have to come and do all the work on the ground. He must have trusted people,
of course,
to work, and they submit the report to him and his desk. But he has to hold them accountable, and then the people that he managing too, in the bottom, the project managers, the people must hold him accountable too, as much as they hold him accountable for the project. So it's not just the Prime Minister and the Minister of Works, but the people that is charged with responsibility to make sure the project come out. These are the people that we're to go after, not just the politician. Because they too may be doing a wrong in the bottom to give the people in charge blame. But once you hold them accountable and them answer to it, I kind of think we said that was an almost answer. They have to answer, not just the Prime Minister and the Minister is responsible for it. Who is responsible for the work in the hospital, the health in the hospital? The Minister of Health, yes, but who is the manager of the hospital? Who is he? Who are they who managing the team at the hospital? What is needed? What do you plan for the next 6 months? Give the government a plan. So, and submit to the government saying, look, we need help in this area. How can you help us to facilitate that? So you hold the government accountable, the people, the nurses hold you accountable as management. And that's what you have to happen to see transformation taking place. And if that is not done, you'll be spinning top in mud. We have to do the same thing. The Revolution did it, and that make it successful the way it was, economically speaking. If we do that, we have a problem. So independence, 50 years.
Yeah.
What can we show for it? And I hope I don't know what we're hoping to have happening, but I think a lot of nice activities surrounding that event should be well planned out. I think they have.
Well, I think they're going to have that, but for me, I want to see a new line of march, so to speak. I know that term is going to rub some people. that term is going to rub some people the wrong way. But I want to see a new line of march. I want to see the Prime Minister lay out a clear vision for the next decade, and for us to come up and put together a plan and where the focus is going to be. And for me, it has to be around 5 or 6 areas. We have to improve our healthcare. We have to improve the quality of education of our people, including skills training. Okay, we have to develop a refined tourism product that tells the story about who we are. So in other words, a sort of cultural tourism, because what is going to differentiate Grenada from Barbados, from Trinidad, from St. Lucia? We have to tell that story. Develop a product that people who are not Grenadian would be anxious to come and visit the country, and not only come once, but come repeatedly. Okay, we have to look at our food security issue and how we learn to better. The pandemic has revealed to us that we have a major deficit in that area. So we have to take food security seriously, and how we better able to feed ourselves and to eat healthier, because if we can eat healthier, we would reduce the nation's healthcare bill. We have to fight alcoholism. You know, there's some areas that we have to work on. But I would like to see the Prime Minister lay that out in his independence address. And housing, we have a housing crisis in Grenada. I don't want to speak too much on it because I'm involved in something right now with that. So, but we want to see us develop quality housing. The Prime Minister has made a commitment to build 500 or so houses between now and the next election. I think they are going to meet that target and probably even exceed it, and then go beyond that. So there's real areas. Another sensitive area, Grenada, we have a population shortage. We need people. So either young people are going to make children, or we're going to import people.
Let have wedlock. Let's have wedlock.
We're going to start families. Let's have to start importing people from us. We need to grow our population by probably another 50,000 people within the next decade to a decade and a half. We need to broaden the economic base. So wherever,
the agenda, the world agenda is not to have more people in the world, to reduce it, right?
We need people to expand our economic base, and then we have to see what we can do at our local level to begin to mitigate the effects of climate change.
Yes.
Because yesterday in the middle of the day, Brooklyn is flooded with 3-4 feet of water in major intersections. And like I said, one of my friends posted in Grenada that, he lived in Grenada all his life, and he said he can't ever remember it being that oppressively hot, and that he was concerned about the elderly and the very young,
Right. I think a lot of people have become more and more aware of the climate condition in the world. And governments around the world are trying their best to do it. But since the 70s or late 70s, early 70s, climate change has become was an issue.
Yeah, we knew that. The scientists working within the fossil fuel industry knew that.
Yeah, But no, I don't think much attention was given to that by those, even though they knew it was there, they didn't give the attention it needed. But
no.
Today, we see more and more governments around the world are embracing the climate change agenda. And also, not only agenda of climate change, but they're also trying to have the gender diversity thing going on now, shifting the biological makeup of our societies, right? So by doing so, you control population, you have men changing their sex, women changing their sex, so then there is no reproduction, less reproduction. It's another controlling population, you understand? So when you do that, you reduce your population, right? So that is one problem. And then you have now the food crisis around the world. We shouldn't be. There's enough land to plant enough food for everybody to get to eat. I don't think
but again, climate change is affecting crops in different parts of the world.
Yeah, but we have
I think we lost audio.